Well, it's November 9th, 2009, and we're here at the home of Lorena Weeks in Wadley, Georgia. And my name is Kathleen Clark. And I'm just really delighted to be here, Lorena. And
So glad to have you here.
it's really thrilled to have you tell your story. So, where would you like to begin? Shall we?
Well, should I begin? When I started to work with the telephone company.
Sure.
I graduated on Friday night and caught the train. I was living in Louisville at that time, 10 miles from Wadley.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught the train, the Nancy Hanks, to Atlanta on Saturday. And Monday, I went down for an interview with Southern Bell. They were at 51 Ivy Street then. And after the interview, they did a physical and put me to work that morning at 10 o'clock. And right here, I would like to say that I have nothing against Southern Bell. I have nothing against men. I have a wonderful husband and son and 2 brothers that I adore. And I had nothing against anyone. I just felt like this was a point of law that needed to be changed because women were having to take the back seat in so many jobs. And anyhow, let me get back online. I went to work with Southern Bell and worked up there a few months, and my mother had passed away, and I had my 9-year-old brother and 15-year-old sister, and they both wanted to come back to Louisville to go to school. So I made arrangements, and we had a 1-room apartment to live in.
In Louisville?
In Louisville. And I went to work at the shirt factory because I did not have enough time in with the telephone company to transfer to Wadley. So I worked at the shirt factory in Louisville for about 2.5 months. And then
And you were supporting your
brother and sister, right.
Right.
And they slept at night, and I worked as a telephone operator in Wadley. I did get on in Wadley. There was a vacancy, night telephone operator, and I worked from 11 at night to 7 in the morning and caught the mail carrier from Wadley back to Louisville the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I rode the bus. I didn't have an automobile. I didn't even know how to drive. And I caught the bus from Louisville at night at 8:30. But before I caught the bus, I went to work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and worked until about 8:15 every night.
At the shirt factory?
No, at a restaurant. I got, this was another job I had in addition to the telephone company job. And I worked there just for tips and for my brother a meal of vegetables because I didn't have time to cook and do all that. So that's what I worked for, the tips and for him to have a free meal.
And you were about 18 years old?
Mm-hmm.
You just graduated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And I worked on as a telephone operator in Wadley for a long, long time, and then they did away with the telephone office. All telephone operators in Wadley, they were either transferred or retired. And there was an opening in Swainsboro, which is 20 miles from Wadley, for an outside plant clerk. And it required typing. It was just secretarial work. Mm-hmm. And I qualified for that and got the job. Mm-hmm. So I worked there until Johnson signed that Civil Rights, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act into law. Mm-hmm. And that's something that'd been going around in the back of my head. If I ever have a chance at one of these better jobs, better paying jobs, I'm gonna go for it. Mm-hmm. So soon afterwards, the telephone company posted a bid. That's how you go up the ladder with the telephone companies, by bids. You have seniority plus qualifications. Well, I wasn't qualified, but they have schools they send you to train you. Okay. So I bid on the job.
Switchman job?
Pardon?
This was for the switchman job?
Right, it was a switchman job in the Louisville and Wadley Georgia central offices.
And what does a switchman do? Is it
Well, it's changed so much since I was what they called a step-by-step switchman, where you actually saw your line finder go up and find the group and terminal they were on and go around, all over the office about 6 steps before a number would ring. They would wind up on a connector, and this work required maintaining the troubles and all within the central offices. And it was easy work. A woman could easily do it. So I bid on the job, and anyhow, they returned my bid stating that they appreciated me wanting to advance with the company, but it was not a job that was awarded to women. Well, there was a poster in the central office in all the telephone company places on discrimination and to get in touch with Franklin Roosevelt if you feel that you've been discriminated against. He was head of the EEOC.
okay?
So I wrote a letter to them, and it took several weeks. It came back, and I was told in the letter that that there was a branch in Atlanta, Georgia, and Keith McDonald was head of it, and that he would be getting in touch with me soon, in the future. So sure enough, I think it must have been 6 weeks or 2 months later or longer, he did come down and went over the central office in Louisville and went over the one in Wadley and told the telephone company there was absolutely nothing. He didn't see any reason why a woman couldn't do the job. But the telephone company refused to give me the job. So then,
What were you thinking at that point?
I was thinking, I'm going to have that job one way or the other. Somebody's going to listen to me. If I have to go all the way to Chief Justice Earl Warren, I'm going to sit on his doorsteps. Maybe he'll listen to me. Somebody will listen to me, because I was desperate. I knew how hard my mother had worked. She died at age 38. She was left when she was 29 years old with 4 little children. And the day my daddy was buried, my youngest brother was 10 months old, and my mother worked her heart out for us. So I knew that men were not always the breadwinners. So I filed a grievance with the union when they returned my bid and said that they couldn't give it to a woman. And the president of that union told me, he said, "Lorena, there's nothing that I have against you, but if we get it where you get this job, there are going to be women all over." And I told him, I said, "Well, that's what it's all about. It's just not for me, it's for every woman." And he said, "Well, the man's the breadwinner in the family." I says, "Oh, no. I know better than that, too." I said, "When I check out the grocery store with a loaf of bread, they don't say, 'You're a nice little lady and you can have that for 50 cents. I said, "If anything, they'll charge me more for it." I said, in the same way with getting your automobile worked on so many ways, women are taken advantage of. I said, "I've got a mother I know, and I know how hard she worked for what? Just to feed us." My mother used to get up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, go hunting and kill a squirrel or 2 and come home and dress it for us to have gravy and something to eat at night. Now that sounds terrible, but that is the truth. After Daddy died.
She did what she had to do.
And I have seen her dress a pig, a hog. She could do anything. And she'd take out a shotgun, she'd go out and she'd kill the birds. But we ate. Well, anyhow, after the phone company wouldn't let me have the job and the union wouldn't back me in it, like I said, I got in touch with Washington, D.C., and then Keith McDonald came down and investigated, and they still wouldn't give me the job. And he said, "The only way you're going to get it is to go to court." So I said, "Well, good. I'll go to court."